For once, I would consider us lucky with rainfall. Anywhere from 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch. When they were calling for a 1/2 inch is a victory in my books. We're gonna fill up the field cultivators, work on some stuff today, and maybe tomorrow when it's 75 or 80 degrees, we might be able to plant. A little moisture on the grass. Katie got her first taste of running this beast yesterday, and I think she was impressed with the machine. Not only its power, but its amenities. It's actually pretty enjoyable to sit in that cab all day. Leather seats, heated. If anyone's to blame for all these old farmers not retiring, it's John Deere for making tractor cabs so darn nice. I don't know who wouldn't want to sit in that thing all day. Get an iPad in there, watch some Desperate Housewives or something, you're good to go. I'm not even sure what the timeline is because, like I said in the last video, we have actually just traded this field cultivator off for a somewhat newer one, a 2-year-old or 3-year-old model, 52-foot wide, true set, all that jazz. A much heavier built and nicer field cultivator. They're gonna bring it down to us sometime. Hopefully it's within the next couple days. They're gonna take it through their shop, make sure everything was good to go, all the systems, sensors are right. Come pick this one up. I would say that if it stays warm, the sun comes out, that 1/10 of an inch to 2/10 of an inch of rain is going to disappear in next to no time. Maybe by tomorrow afternoon we'll be back in the field. This fuel pump is rated at about 35 gallons per minute, or if you want to look at it in a much more painful metric, it's running about $140 per minute of diesel fuel, with diesel fuel prices being $4 plus. It's going to be expensive to run this machine, although we are going to come out better off financially by reducing the amount of chemical inputs we use, because herbicide prices are equally as expensive as fuel right now. I just really enjoy looking at this tractor. The beast. Can't forget about saving the environment. 1 tank of fuel at a time. A little too much. Solutions containing quite a bit of nitrogen, like that diesel exhaust fluid or AdBlue, which is essentially just a liquid nitrogen, are very corrosive to metal. Anytime we get it on something that's not plastic, we try to go above and beyond to rinse that off. That way it doesn't promote any additional rusting on that area and long-term structural problems. We are still trying to finish off that last small soybean bin over to the west. That small amount of rain was enough to soften an already soft grain site. So I'm bringing over an insurance policy so the truck doesn't get stuck. You never know when you're gonna need it, especially after a rain. I don't know who engineered the semi, but it is terrible in mud. I've got numerous occasions that pretty much prove that semis will not perform if the ground is slippery. I would say that working that farm was a great choice. If anything's gonna be dry after it warms up, it'll be where we cultivated. Looks like more than 1/10. Brought the chain for you. Looks like you might need it. I'll get out. That's all you got. You're looking at our next new big business venture, Marty's Landscaping Service. Our motto is, can't promise you that you'll be satisfied, but your land will be scaped. game. The 9460R is next up at the feed trough, although I don't believe it's going to be as hungry as the 620 was. That was quick. Field cultivator inspection on this rig only came up with a low tire there on the right inside dual. Or at least that's all I see. But I only worked 60 or 70 acres. Not really put it through the ringer by any means. All right, here we go. Last 200 or 300 bushels out of this bin, and we're finally done with this wet farm bin site. That's 3 out of 3 completed over here. Glad to get out, but always wish we had more beans. Jeff managed to get stuck again, which he shouldn't have loaded the back and not the front, because that takes all the weight off of your power tires. We need one of those fancy yankum ropes like the big timers have. Probably be more safer than the chain too. I usually stand behind a tree when they start pulling, because I value my life. I would have been very disappointed if we would have had to climb back under there and hook that up to drag it because we didn't get it far enough out. Something about this bin site, if there's any one we're gonna have to hook up to a truck and pull it out, it's here. Probably need to invest in a few more loads of rock. Doesn't matter now though, that's a project for this fall or next winter because these bins are all empty. Dad's gonna stay here and play in the mud a little bit. I'm gonna take this backhoe conveyor home. We might set up and haul some corn out of our big bins. Your call, I'll go grab a shovel.
Huh?
I'll take a couple shovels off the top.
Thing goes up, that's all.
Well, it's solid. You probably back in here.
Flathead? The regular one.
Now. Keep going.
All the way in.
There.
Is farming stressing you out? Is your family stressing you out? Is farming with your family stressing you out? Well, I've got the perfect thing for you. Cannadip CBD pouches. CBD has been shown to be an effective reducer of stress, chronic pains, insomnia, and a few other issues. And it comes in a convenient pouch form. And for those of you in the agriculture field and really any outdoor industry, you know how prominent chewing tobacco is. It is a great alternative to that. Go to cannadipcbd.com, check them out. Use code DOLE, D-O-L-E at checkout for 20% off, or follow the link here in the video. I'm happy to report though that today is the first day in maybe 3 or 4, if not 5 weeks that I've been able to break out into my t-shirt because it's fairly warm. We're in the mid 70s right now, we're low 70s, a little bit of a breeze, the sun is shining, so that's gonna dry this ground out somewhat quicker than yesterday when it was 55 and damp outside. And of course, throw rain on top of that and you're getting nothing done. Maybe if we're really lucky, we'll miss another rain and we'll have 1,000 acres of corn to plant. Unlikely, but I never count it out. This actually works out well because we do need to air up that tire. Although I might wait until it's folded back up so I have to crawl all the way to the field cultivator to get to it. Unless of course I do the jungle gym over the top. We'll see. Here's what we're trying to straighten out. Seen its better days. We're hoping maybe a little persuasion it'll do a better job.
It moved.
Something moved.
Do it again then. Do it again.
See this right here that has that keeping it from spinning? This one's so worn out that,
Okay, let's take it off.
I mean, that's got to be part of the problem. We're replacing some of the straps that help hold these harrows in position. Some of them were in not the best shape. Hanging on by a thread, I'd say. All done with maintenance for the day. Still need to air up the tire, but we'll get that before we leave the farm here. Might be a tomorrow project. Nice safe spot under the tree. Look what I just found. A screwdriver. A hidden gem. Did you lose a screwdriver?
Yeah, it's a screwdriver.
But did you lose it?
Not that I know. Where was it?
Below the ladder of the tractor? Buried in the ground? That's pretty much all of the work we needed to get done, other than airing up the tire before our next go of things, which, if it stays like this for another day, it may be tomorrow afternoon. And I think next time we get a chance to work ground, some of the stuff we worked yesterday, we'll probably plant. It's actually a beautiful day out. This is the field Katie and I worked yesterday ahead of the rain. A little cloudy here. We'll go out into a spot of the field that worked up a tiny bit better. When you're in a farm that consists of a couple hundred contiguous acres, you can have a lot of diversity in soil type, topography, and drainage as a result of the first two. What we usually like to do is pick the worst area in the field, because if the worst area of the field is in good shape, usually that indicates that your better soils in terms of drainage are in good shape as well. Definitely a little wet underneath. If I had the planter tractor out here, I'd sink down quite a bit. Like I said though, if we had another day of drying, we'd probably be good to plant. This isn't really surprising to me, and at this point you guys should really expect the same. They are calling for another slim chance of rain tomorrow. I believe they're speculating maybe 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of rain. Again, like this morning, all that really will do is set us back a half day to a full day, which narrows our window even more because there will be more rain and cool weather next week. We're gonna have a warm spell for 3 or 4 days. It's gonna cool off and be a little bit damp for 3 or 4 days. Then after that, it's projecting to warm back up a little bit, which really makes me confident that if we get an opportunity, we're gonna plant these fields because it's gonna be warm again. Really, the best way to see what the future holds is for it to happen. More rain. This rain is quite dampening, both literally and spiritually. Of course, there are plenty of other projects still to be done here around the farm, but my preference for the day was to be planting. The possibility of planting is not completely out the window today, although the chances are very slim. Just like yesterday morning, we got 1/10 or 2/10 of an inch of rain. They're calling for clear skies and 80+ degrees today. So if that happens relatively soon, we may be able to plant some later this afternoon. Not holding my breath on that though, kind of unlikely. I was gonna throw some extra air in this tire, but that air compressor we have is junk for some reason. Won't turn on. Switch is on. It's plugged in. Breaker's on, it's the top right one, not flips, but it's not turning on. It doesn't even have 30 or 40 pounds in it, so there's no reason the system shouldn't be kicking this thing on. It's amazing how different two tools can be. The air compressor that we replaced this with, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, rusty old, we probably had it for 30 years. This one we've had for 6 years. It's given us more problems in that time than the old one did in its entire lifetime. Or at least in my duration of that lifetime, because it was older than I was. Just out frolicking through the meadow. Here's our stop. We're on the backside of one of our farms over to the west, about 5 miles of home, right behind where those bean bins were we emptied out the other day. We're looking at a land bridge here, some dirt over a culvert that continuously has washed out over the last few years. Some of you may recall last season, I had the soybean planter over here. I went to cross this bridge and it was hollow underneath and it kind of came down a little bit. I wasn't surprised because I was expecting something to be awry based on the shape of it. Dad and I scouted this out a couple days ago, or maybe even a week ago, had a local contractor bring us some dirt. We're gonna try and fill in these, pack them down, so at the very least, we get a field cultivator and a planter across here to get to our little dinky 5-acre patch on the back. I'm presuming what is happening here is that when we get a large amount of water, this culvert is just not large enough to handle that, so the water is washing up against the ditch banks and either cutting next to the culvert or hopping over. That's how much it's settled since the last time we did any kind of work on it. And for all I know, that could be hollow underneath too. First thing we're gonna do is shove this pile of dirt a little closer so I can work with it. I had to borrow a little dirt from the farm to finish this project. And we got some nice sod included, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I see some poison ivy as well. Foundation and security all in one. After about 90 minutes of dinking around in the backhoe, here's what our finished product looks like. It's gonna feel like a minefield when you cross it, but as long as the field cultivator doesn't fall off the edge, it should be all right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 16, 17. Stepped off at roughly 17 foot wide. I would safely guarantee 16 foot of that is firm. More realistically, we probably got an 18 foot width that you could cross on, but I don't think I'm gonna sign off on the extra foot on either side because who knows what's gonna happen when you get the field cultivator up here. In some kind of comical, backwards, twisted way, it's probably a good thing to have the guy building the crossing not be the guy crossing it with the big equipment that has a chance of falling off. Because I knew what this bridge looked like, I know what I did to it, and I know that I would not necessarily be the most confident crossing it. But everyone else, it'll look solid, and they're naive enough to not know what kind of shape it was in. It's only the 3rd time we've rebuilt it in the last 18 months. That bridge should last nice and long, until the next 4-inch rain, of course, and we'll have to do this again. See how wide this field cultivator is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's gonna be tight. Okay, noted. It needs a lot of drying. Unless it warms up quick. I ran to town and took a little lunch break while we waited on the ground to dry a little bit. Dad unhooked this 44-foot field cultivator because as we speak, we got a new delivery coming to replace it. Gotta get this thing out of the way. That looks a little different behind there than the other one. This thing is a little bit more complex than the tillage device we just sent off the farm. It's got a lot more hydraulic lines to hook up, more sensors, more wires, and to be completely honest with you guys, I have no idea how to set it up in the tractor or up here on the back with all the hard connections. Not that I couldn't figure it out eventually, but I think I'm gonna need a phone call with an expert first to show me how to run this, or at least get it hooked up right. This thing is just loaded with hydraulics. True set, which is what makes it complicated, but also very simple. Everything is gonna be controllable from the 4600 display in the cab because of the true set, which is what requires all the hydraulics. There goes the old one. While I wait on someone to call me that knows how to set that up, I'm gonna hop in here and finish up this corn bin with Chris and Jeff. This one's a little bit bigger than the bean bin we did the other day. It's also got a power switch. We've had a few days so far this year that were warm. Today's the first day that's been hot. Finally got the phone call I needed. So this thing has like switches on everything, so it knows if it's not unfolded? Yes. Okay. Now my poor uncle who's gonna run this thing could barely run the 2630 display. Yeah, I'd say.
And once you get it set and everything looks good, you should be able to just take off and not even really have to worry about it.
Just got off about a 25-minute phone call with the guy from Sloan's explaining to me how this works and how to set it up. I think I got it figured out. There's a few anomalies and sensors that I just didn't even understand were there. Like, it's got to be unfolded to run right. You can't have it folded up to set it, which makes sense, but I'm used to the very rudimentary field cultivator we're coming from. Do you need a degree to operate this? Probably. But can you operate it very quickly and conveniently if you know what you're doing? Yes. So my goal here is to get this to set up to run for my dad and my uncle, who even struggled on our older monitors pretty simply. I'm gonna mess around with the screens, get that figured out, and we should be good to go. This is the money right here. This is TrueSet. This is all of our run information. Everything they need to know is gonna be on this screen. All the hydraulics are automatic. All you do is click down this one, and you'll see it's gonna light up on there, green, and it's going to run to what those green settings are up there. Shanks is the height, basket is the rolling basket pressure. Set presets if we want. We don't necessarily need to do that. And then we have our auto steer lines here, quick line, track spacing, what have you, shifting increments. Things are not that important. And on the other screen, which will be up there, but just got some miscellaneous data, field, another visualizer for the guidance, and then a bunch of diagnostics or just machine information that we're running. How much fuel we have, gallons per hour, efficiency, depth. Everything you really need to know is going to be on that screen. But the main run stuff that you need to pay attention to will be on this screen. Basically, all you do is start going in the field, push this lever into place, you're going to hear this light up, and that right there is it going to its TrueSet setting of 2 inches in the ground. 500 pounds of basket pressure. Pretty neat stuff. After Chris and Jeff finished cleaning up that grain bin, they got the backhoe conveyor out of there. Dad drug it over, ran quite a bit of water through it. Now he's running to dry it out, because that is what we're going to load our seed beans and corn into our tender over at Dad's house. We want to make sure that's clean. We need that seed treatment to stay on there because it's very valuable to our seeds. With the weather we're having right now, warm, somewhat sunny, and windy, this ground's dried out quite a bit. I'm almost certain that we could plant tomorrow, if not right now. We could definitely try and work some ground. Looks pretty good. Wait till morning. And like I said, you're gonna be able to plant way more than we have ready to plant. So go ahead and get our ducks in a row. Get the conveyor here at Dad's setup for seed. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little concerned because this humidity, wind, temperature is the perfect recipe for a storm that wasn't called for. And it does look a little eerie out. Folks, class is in session. Just called my Uncle Jeff out. He's the one who's going to be running this big beast this year. And I gotta teach him how to do it.
Can you set the depth from here in the tractor?
Everything's from the cab.
Oh, jeez. Looks good, doesn't it?
It's doing a great job working. It's just a tad bit wet, like you said. This field cultivator is really stout. Look how much heavier built it is than that other one.
So the up arrow brings it out of the ground.
Yep.
Not working too much of it, is there?
Nah, it's pretty wet out there.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and, if you want to take it in, you can. I'm happy to report that this thing is technologically advanced enough to impress me, yet simple enough that some of the less tech-savvy people in our operation can figure it out. Jeff's gonna have this thing running full speed in no time. Took me about 3 minutes to show him the ropes. He won't have any problems, and if he does, I can just pop up Operation Center on my phone and work him through them, because I can screen share, which is pretty nice. For those of you who really didn't understand what was going on here, we had a brand new field cultivator ordered. We traded the field cultivator for one that was supposed to be in March, which was over a month ago. And then it was April, then it was May, then it was June, and now they say maybe July, maybe August, I don't know. At that point, the brand new field cultivator is useless to us. But our goal was to have something nicer, newer, and bigger to pull with this big 620 horsepower tractor. We wanted some more efficiency, and we were also a tad bit concerned about the structural integrity of that 15-plus-year-old field cultivator behind this big horsepower tractor. All things being said, we found this one up at Sloan's in Atwood, coincidentally the home of ZK Master Tech, just about 25 miles north of here. Very nice machine, 2 years old, or 2 years of field use, 3 years old, true set, fully automatic, everything's controllable from the cab. It does have single point control though outside, so if we didn't want to use the very convenient computerized features, we can go out there and still screw the wheels in, adjust the down pressure on the baskets, hydraulics, all that. So it does have things to fall back on if those sensors were to fail. They do tell us though that they're extremely reliable. Now they are salesmen, so I wouldn't expect them to tell us anything less. Oh, I was actually just about to end the video and head home, spend some time with my family on this nice Friday. But then the boss called me and wanted me to take this out to some of those corn stalks that we got rained out on to see if they'd work. So, horse is going back to play. We ride again. All I gotta do now is go, click 2. It's gonna take me where I need to be. 2 inches in the ground. We really like to see the field cultivator kind of crumble the soil behind it, almost a powder. It's gonna need to be a little less moist to do that. This is balling up like mud. Dad just stopped by with the gator, ran out and took a look and confirmed kind of what I was thinking. It's gonna be a little too wet to work this right now. Maybe we can give it another shot in the morning. We do have the next in command here though, Lenny. He's gonna ride back to the farm with me. He really wanted to see the new field cultivator and press the buttons. Say hi, Lenny. Say hi. Hi. We're just doing a nice, easy trot up the road. If we were any farther, I wouldn't allow it. I don't see anything wrong with some good father-son tractor bonding time. Unless, of course, he steers us off the road, which is not unlikely. You've got 10 seconds to touch anything you want. Knock yourself out. You're spoiling an opportunity. There you go. Sir, you can't shift down any farther than that. You're in first gear. You can try. The field's a tad bit on the wet side still, but very close. We're gonna call it a day. Hopefully tomorrow this weather will continue, and I'm fairly optimistic that we will be in the fields working around and planting, or at least planting. We don't have to do both. That being said, I think that's more than enough farming for one video. I appreciate you all tuning in. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!